Welcome to Breaking News to Trading Moves.
Glad to be here.
Today we're looking at something that's stirring things up in the airline world. There's this regulatory action, specifically a court decision, creating a lot of uncertainty around how airlines price their tickets, especially with all those extra fees.
That's right. It's about ancillary fees, baggage, seat selection, you name it. And there's a legal challenge going on that could really change how you see those prices when you book.
So our goal here is to map out what this means for the market right now. Who wins, who loses, depending on how this whole legal situation plays out.
Exactly. We're looking at the potential outcomes and the companies involved.
Okay, let's get straight to it. What's the core headline? What actually happened?
So the key development happened on October 2nd, 2025. That's when the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit decided it's going to rehear a case.
Rehear it. What does that mean in this context?
It means they're doing an en-banc review. So instead of just a small panel of judges, the entire court is going to look at this again.
Ah, okay. That sounds like a big deal. What's the case actually about?
It's about whether the Department of Transportation, the DOT, can force airlines and, importantly, ticket sellers like online travel agencies to show all those extra fees, baggage fees, change fees, the works right up front.
Up front, meaning when you first see the price, not later in the booking.
Precisely, at the initial point of sale. That's the rule the DOT wants to enforce.
And this en banc review, you're saying that signals it's pretty contentious, the court taking a second, fuller look?
Absolutely. It means the previous decision wasn't the final word, and the full court wants to weigh in. It definitely creates this period of uncertainty we're seeing.
Got it. So who's actually fighting against this DOT rule?
It's mostly the airline industry itself. You've got trade groups, and then several of the big airlines are directly involved in the challenge.
Which ones? Can we name them?
Sure. We're talking about American Airlines, ticker AAL, Delta Airlines, that's DAL, United Airlines, UAL, Alaska Air Group, ALK, and also JetBlue Airways, JBLU.
Okay, quite a lineup. And their argument is?
Essentially, they argue the DOT is overreaching, trying to dictate how they run their business and display their pricing.
So boiling it down, there are kind of two main paths forward here.
At the crux of it, yeah.
Path one, the court sides with the DOT, the rule stands, transparency is mandatory. What happens then?
Then carriers that make a lot of money from these separated fees, well, they could see their profit margin squeezed. It makes their total price look higher from the start.
Okay. And path two?
Path two. The court sides with the airlines, the rule gets blocked or significantly weakened.
And in that case?
Airlines keep doing what they're doing now. They can show that low base fare first, then add fees later in the booking process. More control for them, potentially better for their upselling.
Right. So the outcome here really matters for specific companies. Let's talk winners first. If the rule is upheld mandatory upfront disclosure, who benefits?
Well, the first group that comes to mind are the platforms built for comparison shopping. Think online travel agencies, the OTAs, and metasearch sites.
Okay, so we're talking the big online players.
Exactly. Companies like Booking Holdings, ticker BKNG, Expedia Group, EXBE, and TripAdvisor, Trippy.
And why do they win with more transparency? How does that work for them?
It helps level the playing field. Right now, sometimes you see a super low fare on an OTA, click through, maybe start booking, and then the airline site hits you with fees.
Yeah.
It can make the OTA look less attractive or cause you to abandon the booking there.
Ah, so you might just go straight to the airline site next time.
Right. But if everyone has to show the likely total cost up front, the OTAs can provide a much clearer apples-to-apples comparison. It builds trust.
Makes sense. Easier comparison, more trust, potentially more bookings completed right there on the OTA site.
That's the idea. Better conversion rates for them because the sticker shock happens earlier and more consistently across all options. They capture more of the transaction.
Okay, so OTAs are one group. Who else benefits if fees are shown up front? Thinking about the airlines themselves.
Yeah, you'd look towards airlines whose pricing is already simpler or more inclusive.
Meaning airlines that don't rely quite as much on charging for every little thing.
Exactly. When transparency is mandated, their all-in value becomes more obvious from the get-go. Think about airlines that maybe include a checked bag or have fewer add-on fees.
Okay, so who fits that bill? Southwest comes to mind immediately.
Southwest, ticker LUV, is a prime example with their bags fly free policy. That becomes a very clear advantage when competitors have to show their $60 or $70 round-trip bag fees right next to Southwest's fare.
Any others?
Alaska Air Group, ALK, often gets mentioned here too. They're sometimes perceived as having a more straightforward fee structure compared to some of the other large network carriers.
So for price-conscious shoppers, this upfront clarity could actually steer them towards these simpler models, even if the base fare looks a tiny bit higher initially.
It could, yeah. That initial low number from a competitor loses its power if you immediately see the real cost is much higher once you add essentials like a bag.
Okay, that makes sense. OTAs, simpler fare airlines. Is there a third group? What about the tech side of things? This sounds like a data nightmare.
Oh, it absolutely is. Implementing this requires sophisticated technology. Think about aggregating all the different fee types, rules, and amounts from every airline and displaying them accurately in real time.
So the companies providing the plumbing for this data flow become pretty crucial.
Definitely. We're talking about global distribution systems, GDS, and other travel tech providers. They need to build and maintain the systems that allow travel agents and websites to comply.
Like Sabre.
Sabre, ticker SABR, is a key player here. Their whole business is about aggregating and distributing complex airline fare and schedule data. This kind of rule makes their services even more essential for agencies needing to display this fee information correctly.
Anyone else in tech?
You could even loop Booking Holdings, BKNG, back in here, not just for their consumer websites, but because they also provide technology and tools that power many smaller travel agencies. Those tools will need to handle this fee data properly.
Got it. So, tech infrastructure is definitely a winner in the transparency scenario. Now let's flip it. If the rule is upheld, who's feeling the pressure? Who are the potential losers?
The first group, and maybe the most obvious, are the big legacy network airlines.
The ones we mentioned earlier challenging the rule: American, United, Delta.
Exactly. AAL, UAL, DAL. These airlines have become very adept over the past decade at generating substantial revenue from ancillary fees. Billions of dollars, collectively.
Charging for checked bags, carry-on sometimes, seat assignments, changes.
All of that. If those fees have to be displayed prominently right at the start, it could hurt them in a couple of ways.
How so?
First, it might reduce how much extra stuff people buy. If you see the total cost ballooning right away, maybe you're less likely to pay $50 for a slightly better seat. That's lower upsell revenue.
Okay, reduced upsell. What's the second way?
Higher cart abandonment. Seeing that $200 flight suddenly become $350 or $400 up front might cause more people to just stop the booking process altogether or shop around more. That impacts their revenue per passenger.
Makes sense. So the legacy carriers face pressure. Who else? I imagine the budget airlines are watching this very closely.
Oh, absolutely. The ultra-low-cost carriers, or ULCCs, their entire business model could be challenged here.
We're talking Spirit Frontier.
Spirit Airlines, ticker SAVE, and Frontier Group, ULCC. Their model is built on that super low advertised base fare. It gets your attention.
Right, the $29 flight deal.
Exactly. But they make their money by charging for almost everything else separately. Carry-on bags, checked bags, seat selection, even printing a boarding pass at the airport sometimes.
So if they have to show, say, a mandatory $50 bag fee right next to that $29 base fare from the start.
Then suddenly it's not a $29 flight, it's a $70 flight before you even pick a seat. It makes their initial price advantage look much smaller compared to other airlines that might include a bag or have lower fees.
It sort of undermines their main marketing tool, that rock-bottom entry price.
Precisely. Mandated transparency really blunts that specific competitive edge they rely on to attract customers. It could be a real problem for their model.
Okay. Legacy carriers, ULCCs, any other groups potentially on the losing end if this rule goes through?
Well, potentially the airline's own websites, their direct booking channels.
You mean like AA.com or JetBlue.com? How would they lose out?
Think about the dynamic we discussed with OTAs. If OTAs like Expedia or Booking.com become the place where consumers feel they can get the clearest, most reliable total price comparison up front.
Then why would they bother going to the airline site first?
Exactly. More shoppers might start and finish their booking on the OTA. Airlines prefer direct bookings. It's cheaper for them, and they have more control over selling you extras like hotels, rental cars, or upgrades during the booking process.
So losing that direct traffic could hurt their ability to control the sale and maximize those add-ons.
That's the risk. Less control over the customer relationship and the upselling opportunities that come with their own platform. So you can see pressure on airlines like American, AAL, or JetBlue, JBLU in terms of maintaining that direct channel strength.
Okay, this paints a pretty clear picture of the two potential roads ahead based on this court case. Let's try to summarize the market implications. Scenario A. The court upholds the DOT rule, transparency wins.
Right. In that scenario, you'd be looking for potential relative strength in the OTA's BK&G, IGSBE, TRIP, and the tech enablers like AZBR.
Ah.
Also potentially among the simpler fare airlines like LUV and ALK.
And on the flip side, underperformance potentially from.
The legacy carriers AAL, UAL, DAL, and especially the ULCC, XAVI, ULCC, who rely most heavily on the current fee structure.
Okay. Now, scenario B. The court strikes down or limits the rule. The airlines win the challenge.
Then you'd expect things to stay more or less as they are. The legacy and ULCC airlines likely breathe a sigh of relief. Their current pricing models are safe.
And the potential boost for OTAs.
That probably fades. The advantage might remain with the airline's direct channels where they can manage the fee reveal process themselves. So maybe less outperformance expected from BK&G, EXPE, and the like in that scenario.
It's really clear how much hinges on this Fifth Circuit decision. There's definitely headline risk here for anyone invested in these companies.
No doubt. Any news or even rumors about how the rehearing or oral arguments are going could move these stocks. It's something to watch closely if you're involved in the sector.
So position sizing and risk management seem key until there's a final ruling.
Absolutely. The uncertainty requires caution.
Before we wrap up, let's just throw out one last thought. If this rule does stick, and airlines can't compete just on that low initial fare anymore, could it push them away from unbundling everything?
That's a fascinating question. If you can't hide the fees, maybe the incentive shifts towards creating clear fare bundles again, like basic main cabin with bag, premium economy.
Yeah, where the value proposition of each tier is transparent from the start, instead of building it piece by piece with fees. Could we see a move back towards rebundling? It's possible. If transparency becomes mandatory, competing based on clear, understandable value packages might become the new way to differentiate, rather than just shaving the base fare lower and lower. Something to think about, for sure.
Definitely food for thought. Well, this has been really insightful. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. Always good to talk through these market moves.
And for everyone listening, please remember the required disclaimer. This information is not financial advice or buy or sell recommendations and is purely the opinion of the author of the material reviewed.